Welcome back to the third episode of Zinespiration. We've got a wonderful zinester with us today, Emily N3ver. You've probably seen her Britney Spears Color In book. She's known for Gothtober zines. And correct me if I get the title of this wrong. Is it The Diary of a Bisexual Satanist or...
No, that's correct. Yep, nailed it.
All right. So welcome, Emily. Thanks for joining us on Zinespiration. We're going to talk about zines and DIY stuff.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk about this stuff because it's what we're all passionate about.
Good. Yeah, thank you very much, Emily.
Thanks, Craig.
So why did you get into zines in the first place?
I like to tell this story quite a bit, so people who know me will have to forgive me for repeating it. But it all started for me in about 2002. There was this little independent bookstore called Polyester Books in Fitzroy in Melbourne, and my dad took me to it, and I was just overwhelmed. There was just shelves of zines, which I'd never encountered before, and just the concept that these people were able to just publish whatever they wanted, just go to a photocopier, print it, sell it. It was just like I was struck by lightning in that moment. I was like, my God, I don't have to wait for an agent or a publisher. Like, I can just do this and no one's going to stop me. It was just so liberating. So my first zine was probably 2002. I think I was about 12. And then since then, I have tried to get out at least one a year. In most cases, I do multiple. Wow. But yeah, there was just no stopping me after I discovered that I could do this, and that I strongly believe everyone should be doing this.
So why did your dad take you to that store? Like, is he into zines, or you were like making them at home already, or you were creative, or what's like?
Yeah. No, I've definitely been creative all my life. Both my parents are artists. I think my father really identified that I was a bit of a social outcast, should we say, a bit of an outsider, and he was trying to, I suppose, find me constructive hobbies that I could be doing with my preteen life. Like, he was perhaps trying to steer me to just a better lifestyle. So that was probably his subliminal way of just being
wow.
Zines, not drugs, I suppose. So I was doing comics, not very well. I'd collected like Archie and Felix the Cat comics and Garfield and all of those like really, really high-end literature stuff. You know what I mean? Really classy. That was what had influenced me. Yeah.
And your dad is still kind of involved, helping you out here and there. Today, I saw your Instagram that he was working on some coffin covers, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. No. He's my number one fan. I'm definitely sort of doing it for him, I suppose, because I have a Patreon where I send out little mini one-page zines to my Patreons once a month, and he was the first to subscribe, so I send one out to him all the time. But yeah, he comes to all my zine fairs. He's just, there was a bit of a cringe factor in writing the Diary of a Bisexual Satanist because I'm being quite vulnerable and open, and having people like my dad or my relatives read it, it's a bit like, yeah. But that's the nature of zines.
Cool. I noticed actually, even on your Instagram, you can see that, like, even though you're a comic artist, I don't see this much, but even like you're a comic artist, but it's quite like a per-zine style, which often doesn't cross over, I feel. Or I don't see it much anyway, but I like that. I like that idea, how it's quite like a per-zine, but it's in comic form.
Right. So you mean like just because it's so rough and ready? Is that what you sort of mean? Like because
no, I think it's because it's so personal. It's so it's just it's your life. It's what's happening around you, and I maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't see those zines that much, but it just seemed like something really interesting. I like that idea. I like that.
Thanks, Craig. I mean, I guess the motto is kind of like you create what you wish existed. So like if you wished you'd seen something or there was a gap, you're sort of making stuff that you wish you had, I suppose. So I'm kind of hoping that by doing these daily comics on my Instagram that people reading it will maybe feel seen or be able to connect to it a little bit, or maybe inspire them to be doing it because they can see, look how easy is it for her to do one a day, so what's my excuse? So
Yeah, but the difference is that you're really good at it because your stuff is very witty. And that's tough to do one day. No, it really is. Like there's a lot of people who can draw and draw well, but to be able to draw and be like smart funny at the same time, like that's a leap of faith.
well, thank you, Ryan. I'm going to try that. I'm trying a new thing to be humble and accept people's compliments, not just outright reject them. But that was tough. Let me just sit with that for a second. Yeah. So often, like, I struggle with creating anything as an artist. I don't know if people feel this way, but for me, I definitely feel like a wanker, basically. Like when I'm making stuff, I feel like I'm being really self-indulgent, and it's hard for me to get over myself sometimes and just bite the bullet and like put comics out, because I'm always like, do people really care about the fact that I'm complaining about the fact that I can't go to my barista anymore? Or like, do people relate to wanting to shave their hair off? Like, I'm just always torn. But at the end of the day, the actual process of doing one comic page a day is therapeutic. It's cathartic for me. Like, if I didn't do it, I would feel kind of without purpose, a little bit lost. So it's kind of with any habit that people build up over time, it's just something that you sort of have to really, it gets easier the more you do it, like daily. I can show you some of the that I've done. So these are what I start with. So this was book one that I started on October of last year, and just sort of kept going.
Like,
So what
I
time of
try
the
and
day?
make it.
Sorry.
Sorry.
What time of the day do you do that?
So I depends on what mood I'm in, but sometimes well, with now when I have all the time in the world on my hands, I can sit down and do it in the middle of the day. But when I was working, I would try and do the night before and then post it the next morning. So I'd come home from work and just like sit down and illustrate as a way to debrief, and then post it online the next day. But I've kind of adapted a formula now, so I've got like this pre-cut template that makes my life a whole lot easier, and so I just will trace out the patterns in the book, and I also have a notebook where I write down my ideas as they come to me, because I think I'm pretty funny. Like, I'll be sitting on a train home and have an idea and just quickly jot it down before I forget it, and then laugh to myself about it for a very long time, and then it becomes a comic. Just shameless promotion here. So there's about 80 pages in each of these diaries, and I've just finished two. So I started in October, and we're now in March, and I'm about to start my new one. So I didn't really expect it to be this ongoing. I kind of just had a couple of funny ideas and thought I needed a laugh, and some people might also enjoy it. But here we are. How many months is that? October. I can't maths. It's at like
5
months. 5, yeah. So 5 months into it, and I'm still going. So
you mentioned that you had the Archies and everything growing up that your dad got you, but what would say was like the style that really inspired you to want to draw comics? Was there anything in particular that jumped out and you were like, oh, I think I can do that, or I could do that better?
I think, I don't know if everyone is guilty of this, but when I was younger, I was certainly trying to appropriate more of like an Eastern influence because of like anime and manga. So like in high school, I was like heavy into doing like sort of Sailor Moon looking, Dragon Ball Z-esque almost, like everyone had the how to draw manga stuff. So as I got older, I was a little bit more aware of what my style was and what it was saying, and I tried with a huge effort to go more Western because I am a white woman. and I've always really liked like the old romance comics, like just over the top, like ridiculous, like these fragile looking women. But I sort of like to try and like juxtapose that with like stronger messages, if that makes sense. So they're always meant to look like objects that are fragile and dainty, but I'm trying to sort of give them more dimension.
Well, who was your first sort of zine inspiration that sort of led you down this path? Did you have something that you found that started that? So.
I honestly, I was a scattered 12-year-old, so I just was overwhelmed, and I took home like this brown paper thick stack of them, and I wish I'd kept them, but several moves I don't have them as much. But Frank Cardello, I hope I'm saying their last name correctly, I'm sorry, but their work, and I now count them as a friend. Like, it was so bizarre entering the Melbourne zine community, because I first knew about these people through their zines, and so they seemed like a way abstract concept to me, like they were a name, they were a brand. And then to meet them at Festival of the Photocopier, which is the biggest zine convention that we have in Melbourne, to see them face to face and like be like, oh, you're a person, you're real, like you made this, it didn't just materialize. It's kind of like, yeah. So getting to meet Frank they were probably one of my biggest influences in continuing with zines, because they're prolific. Like, if you check out their work, they're a machine.
How is the scene around Melbourne? Tell us a little bit about it.
It's so strong. I was kind of I grew up in Darwin originally, which is a very small, it's the top of Australia. It's kind of rural. So when I moved down to Melbourne, it was a bit of a cultural shock that it's just massive. It's just, and yeah, to go to Festival of the Photocopier, I can't remember how many stalls they had this year, maybe over 200, which is, and it grows each year. There's just more and more people, and it's just fascinating, like, that it's going so strong. Like, normally with things ebb and wane, but I feel like with the zine community in Melbourne, there's always someone's doing something, and there's always something happening. Like, Sticky Institute is kind of like the lifeblood of the Melbourne zine scene. It's just the Grave Street under the Flinders Street station, and it's just this little tiny pocket that you could completely miss. But to go in there, it's just this mecca of just all these really amazing zines. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I follow a lot of that on Twitter, like Festival of Photocopier, Sticky Institute. Like, I follow all of them on Twitter, and I'm always so amazed by just how strong the zine scene is in that part of Australia. And like, what's in the water that you guys are all into zines? Like,
I don't know.
what is the rest of the world not doing right that you guys are doing right? Because like, we all agree that everybody should be making zines, right? And it's, it's putting your person on paper, and and getting it, and it's real and it's valid. Like, what's happening there that needs to be happening everywhere else?
I don't know. I'm not sure if it's just because we're all really angry and feeling like disenfranchised and disempowered. So, but like, why would that not be more so in America, say? Like, you guys have some serious beef with your government. So, because I felt like I was special and unique discovering zines, and I was the only one. But then you turn up to these conventions, and there's hundreds, and it continues to be more and more people. So, I don't know. I don't know if people in Australia just sort of understand that there's a bit more sort of street credibility to saying you're a zine maker. I don't know.
It's a big food sort of culture sort of city, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, I mean, certainly before the government cut a lot of our arts funding and arts grants. But I think that's probably even why people rely on things a bit more, because you don't need to have funding to just produce a handful, like 50 off a photocopier. It's quick and it's easy, but still culturally really significant.
Yeah, 50 off the photocopier at work.
Yeah, exactly. Boss makes a nickel, I make a dime. That's why I write
Yeah.
Dragon Erotica anytime.
What would you say is your favorite thing about zines? Whether making them, reading them, collecting them, whatever.
It's just all of it. All the whole. It's like alchemy. Like you're making something out of nothing, and I love this that you have a physical, tactile thing, like a message in the bottle that you just sort of send out into the world, and you have no idea like where it's going to go, or who's going to read it, or what impact it's going to have. But it's just kind of like I had someone message me on Instagram recently and say that they had picked up one of my copies of
Yeah,
Wolverzine from
show some.
so Wolverzine from they said they got it from Polyester Books, which is now no longer open. And this was this was 2015, and I don't have any copies in circulation left. But they messaged me and they were like, "We love it, we keep it, we laugh and we read it all the time. Can we get more?" I was like, "Wow, okay," because often you never hear it, like you never get the feedback. So it's just kind of cool to think about like that somebody out there has my zine and I'm completely oblivious to the impact it has on them. So yeah, but just being able to like fold and staple and the process of just everything and the smell of toner, it's just, yeah, I love it.
So, aside from zines, what other things do you create?
Nothing.
Oh,
The
nothing. Oh,
zines are my
so
life. No.
oh.
um, I'm doing a lot of painting at the moment because I have time. But yeah, I kind of try my hand at everything, I suppose. Like I like to do sculpture and ceramics, printing.
I've seen your buttons on your Etsy shop as well. They're pretty rad.
Oh, I was going to throw in a couple for you, but I wasn't sure if you had them or not. You probably don't.
I don't
Next
think I
post
do.
run.
All right.
But yeah, I figured that's sort of the next step with zine makers is to make enamel pins because it's what all the cool kids do because everyone wants it on their battle vest. So, you know, you're not anyone
Cool.
unless you have an enamel pin. See? Is that
Denim jacket.
is
This
that
is
my
I
zine
know.
pin?
no, this is a letter. This is from
Ah,
like a
yes,
it
yes,
was
yes.
like
Cool.
oh,
Envelope.
send more mail or yeah, envelope, yeah, envelope.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
what's next? What's the next project or what's something you would really like to do that maybe you're unable to do, but you like maybe a dream project or something like that? Do you have something that's next?
Oh, yeah, kind of like I really love riso printing. Like I love the concept of it, but the actual process of having to like collate and figure out the file for printing just does my head in. So ideally, at some point, I would love to just print and glue bind omnibus of my comics. If I could have like a nice thick, like sort of graphic novel with all the comics that I've done today. I think I've done over 100 pages. So that's going to be some serious time of like sitting down and scanning and like putting them into a PDF. So that's an option. But I'm still continuing on with my Patreon zine. So once a month, I do a zine. We're coming up to 1 year now. So sometimes it gets a bit tricky trying to think of a theme for each month. And sometimes I don't really know if people are pretty interested in the themes I pick because I have about 25 subscribers now and they're all across the world and different demographics. So whether they like it or not, they get sent out the cult issue about the Heaven's Gate away team, or they get sent one about Devilman. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be continuing to work on for now, as long as people still subscribe and are interested.
Yeah. Do you have a dream collaboration?
Dream collaboration. I'm open to any collaboration. I've never said no to a collaboration. Like I love being able to just combine energies with another artist, kind of like is it Voltron? You know, with the mecha robots where you like unite and you become like one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a dream collaboration. I don't know. Um, I'm kind of hoping through the process of just like continuing to post my content online that I might reach more people who might be like, hey, this is cool, it matches my stuff, let's, you know, work on something. Sometimes I post a comic online, I'm like, yeah, this is so cool, like people are really gonna get it, it's gonna be amazing, and it gets 60 likes and it goes nowhere. And then other times I'll like half-ass something and be like, oh fuck, I guess I'm just gonna put something out there, and then it gets 2,500 likes and it's been shared across platforms. I'm like, ugh, this didn't represent my best work, why? But that's the nature of the internet. So
That was
you're nodding,
Halloweenies.
Ryan.
When I came up with Halloweenies, I was like, this is so stupid, and everyone is gonna just fucking go bananas for this. And it's like there's no high concept to it or anything like that. There's no real deep meaning, but people are gonna find a high concept, deep meaning in this. And it like I sold more copies of Halloweenies than I sold any other zine that I've ever made, and
Yeah, I believe it.
blew my mind.
Yeah, those Halloweeny pinups, whew, they were saucy, they were sexy. Who doesn't want Halloweeny? You were on
Well, I mean,
something.
like, I didn't realize until afterwards that there's like, you know, it's a wiener dressed up in like a slutty woman's costume. So like, I think I was kind of without even realizing it, drawing these like cross gender things that I didn't even pick up on until I was afterwards and looking at it, and going, oh, I think I stumbled on something here.
You really had no idea how phallic it was? Like
Well,
that wasn't.
I knew it was phallic, but it all came on the wordplay for me because it was just I was either in the shower or on the toilet or something. I was like, Halloweenies, hot dogs in Halloween costumes. And initially it was gonna be like hot dogs in like children's Halloween costumes. Then I was like, oh no, wait, this needs to be in slutty Halloween costumes.
So your inspiration came when you were in the shower or the toilet, and you still didn't connect the dots. The weenie. No.
Okay, so we've talked your collaboration, we've talked a bit about like your future projects, but what do you think the future of zines is, like the medium itself? Like, you know, you probably didn't expect, you know, say 6 months ago, you probably didn't sit there and say, you know what, I bet two guys from different parts of the world are going to message me and say, let's do a video chat about zines, right? So where do you think the future's going with the medium?
I didn't, and I've been telling everyone, I'm like, please no calls today. I'm going to be on a video conference with someone from Canada and Japan, okay? So, like, just give me the space. I and I understand these are dark times, and like people's livelihoods are at stake here, but my silver lining, my optimism is that when we come out the other side, there's going to be some really fucking cool zines. Like, this is a time of like real introspection and reflection, and people realizing like if they've got something to say, like now is the time to say it. So I'm sort of hoping that people are really sitting down with their notebooks and their thoughts and just realizing they've got nothing to lose in sharing. And I just feel that like if every single person made just one zine, it would be like the Library of Alexandria, in that we would just have like this wealth of knowledge. I think zines are the future. I think zines are going to save the world. I got into a fight with Henry Rollins over this. I emailed him a couple of years ago being antagonistic, being like, oh, print's dead, like books are over. And he rightfully like came for my life. But he said that like printed media will always be relevant, perhaps now more so. And I really think, I don't know if I'm completely naive and stars in my eyes here, but I think zines are definitely have the power to change things, because it's like instant information shared between communities, reaching people who need it immediately. So I just can't see how zines aren't going to be influential or impactful. So, yeah.
I always think that like one thing zinesters have that like non-zinesters don't have is the wealth of stuff that we've created, even just for ourselves, right? So 30, 40 years from now, we're going to be able to look back upon our own work work almost as like diary entries, really, and like a time capsule of our entire lives. And it'll bring up fond memories, it'll bring up bad memories, but it's going to be
All
a
of it.
great resource for ourselves when we're old and gray and forgetting everything.
Yeah, you said it. Like, I just feel like it's so hugely important. Like, we need to be aware of the stories that we're not only telling other people, but the stories we're telling ourselves. Like, the way we think about things and the way we're telling ourselves our own history, our own reality. That's kind of partly why I do these daily comics as well, is that they're my diary entries. And I'm trying to be really self-reflective and aware of, like, how I'm skewing things, because previously and currently I can be quite pessimistic and quite like negative self-talk. So by doing this, I'm sort of trying to be a little bit lighter and a bit more objective. So like, yeah, in 50 years time, I can look back and be like, oh, that's interesting that during this pandemic I was so fixated on this one thing. Clearly that was a coping mechanism, or maybe I wasn't doing so really well. What would scare me would be that like some historian 100 years from now finds my like draft entries of a comic or something, and pass judgment about the fact that I like binge watched Love Is Blind on Netflix or something while people were dying in the street. You know what I mean? Like someone taking something wildly out of context because I'm just having a laugh now, like someone being really serious and scholarly. But yeah, we make things for ourselves at the end of the day.
I
That
was
was a
almost hit
massive
by a car
tangent.
once crossing a street, and I wasn't so upset that I would, thought I might die, but I was really upset that whoever would find my body would check my iPod and see that I was listening to Hanson as I was walking home, and I was like, "That's how I'm gonna be remembered." I got hit by a car while
I
listening to
think
Hanson.
about that all the time. I think about that all the time. One of my comics was going to be about like if I died suddenly unexpectedly, like what a CSI report would be about, like the way I was dressed, like, oh, she's got like a pentagram ring, so clearly it was like satanic motivations, or like the way they like make those leaks. So yeah, that might be a future comic. I just didn't really want to like talk about death and dying right now. Like I have a whole list of like really dark comics that I was like looking forward to getting to, but because of like the current situation, I've had to like rapidly readjust my themes.
I guess in wrapping up, is there anything you'd like to share, or something that uh, it's a bit of a comment, but something like you'd like to, maybe someone who's thinking about starting a comic and they're not really overly confident with their skills. Is there something you would say to like a 12-year-old yourself or something like that?
Yeah, do it. Like nobody showed me how. There's no official, as far as I know, there's no official degree in zines. Like nobody hands you your zine card and says, congratulations, you now have the authority to make zines. Like there's no rules. There's no rules. And I feel like people really need to just be liberated by that. Like just do it. Just do it. Like I can't emphasize it enough. Like no one is going to show you the way. No one has to show you the way. Like there is no right or wrong way to do it. You just got to do it. Do it.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much, Emily, for sitting in with us today. I hope you had fun. We had a great time finally getting to chat with you face to face. And everybody out there watching this, down below, we're going to have links to Emily's Etsy page and her Instagram page, so you can follow her and
Patreon.
give her more money, because she's so worth it, guys. Give her your money.
I'm poor.
Thank you very much, Emily.
Thank you.